Hi. I'm going to be going through some important concepts for revision that it might be useful for you to have in your minds um, as you're planning your revision and as you are actually revising. Um, so the first very, very important concept to remember when you're learning anything is a concept called spacing. Now, spacing means you revisit an idea after a period of time. And this is based upon the forgetting curve. As soon as you're told anything, you are gradually going to forget that information. After 20 minutes, you will have forgotten about 60%, 40%. After one day, you've forgotten 60%. And it will keep getting worse and worse until you will have forgotten everything. Now, the way spacing works is you remind yourself, you review it. So if you review what you've done at regular intervals, and the reviews will get shorter because it will become quicker to review whatever you've learned, and you can do them at longer you can have longer periods of time between reviews. You will gradually put more of that information into your long-term memory. So as soon as you're told anything or as soon as you've been to a lesson, most of that information will be in your short-term memory. In order to get it into long-term memory, you will need to review that information periodically. So this has a 10-minute, this has a review after 20 minutes, 1 day, 7 days, and a month. Okay, so the time between reviews will increase, but the level of recall of the information will stay at about 100%. Okay, ideally 100%. So you are going to remember things for longer. So don't plan to do all your revision in one block. Plan to do little and often. So chapter one, and then come back to it a week later. Do chapter one. First time, maybe it'll take an hour. Next time, it'll take 10 minutes. Next time, 2 minutes. Okay, so little and often. You probably remember your phone number because you've used it frequently. And maybe some of you will know your passport number as well, because whenever you fly, whenever you have to fill in a little arrival card, you need to use that number. Okay, so, but every time you look back over a topic, you will, it'll be quicker because you'll look at it and go, oh, I recognize this. And this is why flashcards can be so effective. Okay, so the second important concept is retrieval. Okay, so putting information into your brain is very important, but also getting it back out again when you need it is also very, very, very important. So double-sided flashcards can help. Put a question on one side, turn it over. What is the answer? So every time you pick up that flashcard, think about either what the question was or what is on the other side of that flashcard. This is why past paper questions work so well as well, because doing past papers, especially in maths is crucial, and physics, and anything really, chemistry, biology. It will force you to recall that information and put it down in front of you. Even like quick tests, if you see a sort of quick self-assessment question in a textbook, as you're revising it, think about it, do I know the answer to that? Okay, and this leads us on to another important concept when it comes to revision. Okay, and that is you need to process the information. Even just copying out notes, it doesn't go through your brain, it just goes straight down the arm into the paper. Okay, and it doesn't get processed. Okay, you need to force yourself to actually use that information, and not just photocopy, copy out sentences, because your mind will wander and your attention will lapse and, oh, what's this over here? Okay, and you'll just go on to autopilot. And that is you cannot afford to do that when you're revising for an exam. You need to keep focused on the topics that need to be in your brain when you sit that exam. So making revision notes. Now, the making of the revision note is the crucially important part. Don't highlight, don't read. If you just read something, maybe you'll remember about 40%. If you read it and write it down in a different format, you will remember maybe 80-90% of that information, because you've forced your brain to process it or reprocess it into a different format. When you're making revision notes, sometimes it's very useful to use two sources. So have your textbook, have your notes, combine the sources, and write a set of revision notes on that topic, combining those. So you're looking up, you're forcing your brain to interact with that information. Making flashcards, that is also very, very useful. Making flashcards is almost as useful as using flashcards, because it's not a passive activity. You are actively looking at, oh, this piece of information is important. And I remember when I was revising for A-level physics, the constant, it wasn't really something you needed to know because you were given it, but it was just easier to remember the charge on an electron is 1.6 times 10 to the minus 19. And because it is that piece of information, I have accessed it and used it frequently. That is something that is permanently in my brain, which may be a good or bad thing depending on your perspective. Answer questions as well. Do past papers. If you're doing maths, especially science, do past papers. Force yourself to use the information in your brain, interpret it in a different way. Anything that is not passive is going to be very, very useful for you. Okay. Right. And revision is based on iterative improvement. Now, what this is, every time you do something, you will get better at it. So you can see at the bottom, the picture of the heart. Okay, first time, maybe before you've revised it, your picture of a heart will look like that. Okay, then it will get a little bit more detail and a little bit more detail. And if you use this technique, which we'll go on to on the next slide, it will help you develop any sort of diagrams you need to learn, any labels, anything with keywords. Every time you do it and every time you go back to it, it will also help. I mean, even if you have essay plans that you need to memorize, you can do the brain dump, which we'll come on to on the next slide. Don't worry, the first time you do anything, it will not be perfect. It will probably not be very good. But every time you do it, it will get better and better and better. Okay, so if at first you don't succeed, try again. These are very, very old sayings that are passed down for centuries, so there is nothing really new here. But just keep doing it, keep revisiting it, and test yourself. Okay, so this gets us onto a revision technique, which is called, well, there's lots of different words for it. Another word is brain splurge, but brain dump. We'll use brain dump for this because it's very quick and very easy to get started. So the first thing you do before you even start to revise is just get a blank piece of paper and put down on the paper, maybe a mind map, maybe just bullet points, everything you remember about that topic. So everything that is currently in your brain. So I don't know, maybe start a mind map, maybe it won't fit, put a few other things, anything that is connected to that topic in your brain, put it down. And that's kind of your baseline, that's where you're starting from. Now, once you've done that, you can sort of go on to the topic, read through the textbook, make the revision notes, make the flashcards, mind maps, revision summaries, whatever you want to do to actively engage with the topic. Use more than one source because that will force you to combine them. Maybe use your notes and a textbook to make the first set, and then take your revision note and use a second textbook. Combine it into the second draft of revision notes. And remember, making revision notes, it is the making that is important, not the having. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but the making of the revision notes, if you want to make it beautiful, yeah. But having a beautiful set of revision notes in your bag is not really going to help you. Having a set of flashcards, that will maybe be slightly more useful. Okay, so first of all, do the brain dump, find out what you already know, revise, make the flashcards, go through the topic, actively look at the questions. Ask yourself, does this make sense? Does this fit with what I already understand? Anything that doesn't fit, ask your teacher, what is going on here? There is something that is not working. I don't understand it. What is happening? Okay, so once you've revised the topic, go back and do it again. So produce another brain dump and see how you have improved. See where you were and where you are now. And hopefully every time you do a topic, you will be able to see what you already know, and you'll be able to see the improvement, and you'll be able to see that after you know slightly more than when you started. Little and often. Okay. This is also especially useful for things like biology. If you have a diagram you need to learn, and if we go back to this slide, for instance, the heart, if you have a picture of the heart, you can then try and recreate it. So you are recalling the information, you are seeing what is already in your brain. Check it with the diagram in the textbook. What have you missed? What is not on there? So complete the diagram. Okay, then turn the paper over, try again. See what you can produce from your brain. Okay, and this is be an active, you are being actively involved in learning the information. It's not just staring at it and hoping it goes in through like osmosis or whatever. Okay, and every time you do this, you will remember another thing. It will make a little bit more sense, and you will gradually get better. Okay, so try to reproduce the diagrams with the keywords from memory. See, correct it. Where have you gone wrong? And then try it again. Okay, very soon you will be able to reproduce these diagrams from memory, and your diagrams will go from this to more like these. Okay, I think that's probably enough for today.